You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 142. And on today's podcast, I've invited a guest to help unravel the mysteries of getting paid to speak. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Hey, are you a thought leader, creative entrepreneur, or change maker and want to magnify your impact, boost influence while creating a financial abundance? Stay tuned for today's inspiring episode with your host, Melanie Benson.
Hello there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's your host, Melanie Benson, Profit Amplifier, and host of the Own Your Bold Influence Challenge, which is coming up soon. You're going to want to make sure to be in my Amplify Your Success community so you find out first when it comes. We've got a really awesome training set up for you to skyrocket your impact and your influence. And I wanted to bring today's guest into the conversation because speaking is one of the authority platforms I teach about in the Own Your Bold Influence Challenge. And getting paid to speak is where things get really exciting, because then you don't have to worry if someone is going to fill their room, because you're going to get paid from sales you make from the stage. You know that all your costs are covered, and you can deliver massive value. So I've invited a new friend of mine to come share what she teaches her clients about getting paid to speak. So join me in the Amplify Your Success community so that you get first dibs on the Own Your Bold Influence Challenge when it starts in a couple of months at amplifyyoursuccesscommunity.com. You'll also get to take advantage of all of our free live trainings I do, and we've got some powerful tools and tips and insights we share throughout the week. Plus, you get to learn from each other. So amplifyyoursuccesscommunity.com. Now, let's get my guest here on the show with me. You know that speaking is one of my favorite ways to grow your business, but are you getting paid to speak? I can't wait to introduce you to my guest today, who's going to reveal how to get paid to speak. So let me introduce Kerry Heaps. She's the founder and a veteran entrepreneur of 14 years. Kerry is the publisher of Pageant Platform Magazine and the host of Pageant Platform Podcast. She is the former owner of Strictly Marketing Magazine, host of Strictly Marketing Talk Radio. Kerry is a sought-after speaker on topics such as leveraging your publicity to close more deals, bodies don't lie, body language basics, the significance of color in wardrobe and the psychology behind it, and the network game, making networking work for your business. She's the author of Pitch Like a Bitch, which I absolutely love the title of that. Top 10 Tips to Pitch Like a Pro. She's also the creator of the Create Your Own Media series for podcasting, publishing, and publicity. She's got an extensive background in sales, networking, recruiting, training. She's a former model who specialized in trade show and print work, and an experienced judge on the beauty pageant circuit. But here's where it's this really dropped in and got my attention. She has interviewed a lot of celebrities on her different podcasts. She's interviewed the co-host of Shark Tank, Barbara Corcoran, authors Larry Winget, Jeffrey Hazlett, former Miss West Virginia, and the QVC talk show host, Kim Parrish. Now, why have I asked her to come? I've been watching her for a while. We've been connected on social media for a really long time, and I've been watching her share some amazing tips on getting paid to speak, and I thought, I got to have her on the podcast because we got to start learning how to move away from free and start getting paid for all the value we deliver on stage. So Kerry, thanks so much for joining me today.
Melanie, thank you so much for having me on the show. I am so honored and so excited to be here with you and your listening audience.
Well, I know how busy you are. It took us forever to get this schedule because between your schedule and my schedule and us going in so many different directions, and you have so many unique things that bring you to this place. I'm always fascinated by how someone gets to the place they are now. What was the moment or kind of maybe the situation that you decided, I want to help other speakers get paid to speak?
Absolutely. And it's an interesting story. Basically, what happened was I've had my business last month, it was 15 years. So a big milestone for me. And
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you so much. And when I first started my business, and I always share this story with people when they contact us about Book Speak Repeat, but when I first started my business back in 2005, I actually kind of fell into speaking. I came from a corporate background. I was a recruiter. I did a lot of business development for a staffing firm, and my job was primarily to go out there and do the business networking, attend shows, and then I'd also have to come back and help recruit as well. So when I went out on my own, I had a lot of companies and people that I knew that said, "Hey, you've been a recruiter before. Can you come and train? I've got a couple of new HR people. Can you come and help train them with a good follow-up system? You're really good at that." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I kind of did some training, private company training. And then I had the colleges start calling me because at the time, to earn a little extra money when I started my business, I was teaching at a learning annex called the Knowledge Shop in Orlando, which is no longer there. They've gone out of business. But at the time, I was teaching a variety of classes. One in particular was body language, and the other one was called resume writing and interviewing techniques, where, for people, whether they were just entering the workforce or maybe they haven't been in it in a while, haven't had to go out and find a job, I had a really fun class, and we would help people write up their resumes, and we would do mock interviews to teach them how to interview appropriately and get the job. So I would have colleges that were calling saying, "Hey, can you come out and talk to our graduating class? Or can you come out and talk to our women's basketball team that they're getting ready to graduate?" So I just kind of fell into it. It was people were coming to me. But if you remember back then, it was a totally different ball game. There were more paid engagements than there were speakers. So the meeting planners had to kind of seek us out. And I would go, I'd speak, collect my check, go home. And anyway, I kind of got busy doing other things. I actually started working as a meeting planner too, with my business, because I was doing different expos. I used to do one called Starting Your Business, and it was for predominantly entrepreneurs who were 5 years or less into their business. And I had to book the speakers, choose the educational lineup, book the speakers for that, sell out the exhibitor space, and then get those butts in seats. So it was a small show. I think we had anywhere from 200 to 250 people that would come every year. So I've worked as a meeting planner too, in addition to being a speaker. So you fast forward many years later, about 3 years ago, I was like, you know what? I really miss speaking. I'd like to get back into it. I had such a good message. I was able to help people, even though I'm just a workshop breakout session person. I don't do any keynotes, but I really wanted to get back into it. So I started to kind of take a look around and figure out what do I need to do? What's the process? And my first gut reaction, Melanie, was, "You've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me." I mean, it was just so amazing how, not only how much it changed, but the process is so much more confusing now. It probably took me and my team about 6 months before we really figured out, okay, associations and trade shows have this call for speakers thing, because back in the day they didn't have that. You it was totally different. And the colleges and universities, depending upon if you want to speak to staff or students, the process is different, and private training is totally different now too. You might be dealing with the director of education. You might be dealing with the VP of sales, depending upon what your topic is, or maybe you're still going through HR. So we really had to figure out what the process was, start building up a really good database, because I'm a process girl. So once I kind of figure out what works, that's what we stick with. And 6 months later, I started getting asked to, "Hey, we would love for you to come and speak at our event." And the ball started rolling, and it really started to build momentum. So I told my team, I said, honestly, this was a difficult process. And I know this has to be a pain point for other speakers, because it was a pain point for me, and I don't scare that easy. So we were already doing this on the media side with Pitch Like a Bitch, where we were doing call for, the submission forms for media exposure, and reaching out to media outlets for our clients. So I said, why don't we just offer this too for speakers? Because so many people now are getting into speaking, and there are more speakers now than there are paid events. So I knew that it had to be a frustrating process for everyone else. And I was, that was my whole game plan, is I said, let's see what we can do to help alleviate that pain point. And also too, let's see what we can do to help bridge that gap between the speakers and the meeting planners, because the meeting planners, they get frustrated too. And I've been a meeting planner before, so I understand where they're coming from. So we've created a really good program where it's really including some, training orientation, so to speak, and, just getting people, setting them up for success and getting them on the right path. And that's probably a lot longer than what you were hoping for, but that's the story.
It's very thorough though, and it really paints a very powerful trajectory of what's happened between, the times in which you and I kind of got our sea legs in this industry. I started 20 years ago, and there was plenty of speaking opportunities, even in the what we call the you get paid by what you sell from a stage model. The speaking opportunities have completely flipped. It's literally the industry's radically shifted. And I want to talk about that a little bit later, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into something I've seen you post about and you talk a lot about in your work, and that's this idea that speaking is a numbers game. Can you tell us what that means, and how does that relate to someone who might want to start booking more paid speaking gigs?
Well, a couple of things. I just recently, I think last month or the month prior, I wrote an article on She Owns It because I do a speaking column with them. And I did talk about, is it a numbers game or is it a relationship building type project? And the answer to that question, Melanie, it's both. So for example, in the beginning, you really need to get your name out there. With associations, I always encourage people apply to these associations. They have what's called a call for proposals or a call for speakers. And it's an actual form you're going to fill out where you're going to have your name and your bio and your topic, and you apply to whatever track is open that your topic is fitting under. So for example, if you're a body language instructor like myself, you're going to submit that under the communications track because that's where it's going to fit. And fill out whatever information that they're wanting on the form. And the forms are not difficult to fill out. There's an easy way to do it, and we can talk about that later too. But basically with that, you want to be doing, I think on average, people should be doing anywhere from 20 to 30 submissions a month. And people think, oh gosh, that's a lot. But logistically, if you take the time to search for opportunities and set up a call for speakers alert on Google or call for proposals alert on Google, that way you don't have to do searching and have all your information on one page. So you can, just copy and paste into the form. That's really all it is. And you'll get faster at it, and it won't take that long. And so that part, and then sending out emails and introducing yourself to meeting planners if you want to speak to colleges, universities, anywhere on the educational market, even if that's high school, middle school, and the private sector. If you want to do private training, if you want to train someone's sales staff, you need to figure out, okay, do I need to go through the VP of sales, or do I need to go through HR, or do I need to go through the director of training? And sending out those emails. And that part is the numbers game, because the more people you can send your information to that you can call and follow up with, the better. Now, from that, the numbers are going to trickle down. So if you send out 50 emails to meeting planners or to a director of training, that's at that point, wait a day or two, then give them a phone call, or do it in reverse. Call them first before you send out an email. Because when you have a conversation with them, that's really where the relationship building is going to come into play. So there's two parts to this. The first part's going to be a numbers game, just getting that momentum, building up with your campaign, and then nurturing those relationships. One of the things that I share with my speakers is we have a follow-up sheet, and I'm a simplicity person. If I could do everything in paper and in a notebook and, with a pencil, I would do it if I thought I could get away with it. But, it's in Excel, and we give people different ideas. Like after you've spoken to a meeting planner and, you tell them what you're good at, what your topics are. If they don't have any openings right now, just say, that's okay. I would love to, maybe send you a copy of my book. Having a published book is huge in the industry. That's what we get asked for 99% of the time. Are they a published author? So having some type of book, even if it's a mini book or, an audio downloadable CD, whatever it may be, have something that you can send them. So kind of like a free gift to educate them more on what you do and what your specialty is. And, I always, after I hang up the phone with the meeting planner, I have tons and tons and tons of different types of thank you notes, thank you cards. You can buy them at the dollar store for $1 a pack. and they're really cute. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Write them a handwritten thank you card and drop it in the mail. I can't tell you how many times, Melanie, I've actually gotten an email from a meeting planner saying, hey, I got your card. Thank you so much. That was so thoughtful. And I just sent them a thank you card just saying, hey, thanks for your time the other day. I really appreciate it and look forward to talking to you again in the future and possibly, meeting you in person when we're able to work together. So it's the little things that can really carry you far in this business. But yeah, the follow-up is crucial in this industry. And it's you got to build up your numbers first though. And your numbers, out of those numbers will come opportunities for relationship building. Does that make sense to you?
Totally. And it's
Okay.
literally, it's a sales conversation in a way, because as you're pitching yourself and your topic to these different meeting planners and these different venues, you got to think about like a fraction of them are going to turn into a conversation. So you want to prime that pump and not be intimidated by taking the lead on that process. It's not a you build it and they will come. You have to be an active participant in getting your name in front of these meeting planners.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many speakers I talk to who they're like, oh, I just thought you could do all of this for me. And it's like, no, even with us, our business, we do kind of like all of that grunt work, all of the call for speakers and introductions and so forth. But at the end of the day, I can't sell your program like you can. Just like you could never sell my body language program like I can. You have to be able to, if you believe in what you're doing and you can change people's lives with your topic or with your training, you should have no problem being able to do that with a meeting planner and having that conversation. But you got to participate in your own success.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know a lot of people get very overwhelmed by the idea of all of that effort, but I want you to think beyond the effort of it and think about the results, right? And I like to give my clients little assignments, like create a block of time where you do your reach out. So, and kind of have a budget, like, okay, I do 10 a week and that means 40 a month, right? So start breaking it down into more manageable chunks, and then it's easy. So I got to ask a question that I'm sure is coming up in people's minds, because you're talking about meeting planners and associations, and I know this is your world, but let's say somebody, this isn't their world, and they're really ready to move into this paid speaking concept, but they've been not exposed to much of this. How would they start to find the associations, the meeting planners, the venues that are looking for paid speakers?
That's a great question. And what I would say to them is this, a couple of things. First and foremost, I think figure out what, the startup process. Think about where you want to start. For example, there's three major components in speaking. So you've got the associations and trade shows, and that's like the wastewater treatment show. That is the print con show. All of these associations that do their annual or state level shows, SHRM, HRPA, are examples. So that's typically, you have to go to usually they'll release like a call for speakers to have openings for their workshop breakout session. And sometimes even their keynotes, they'll require that as well. It just depends. Then you have the educational market, which is your college, university, and high school, middle school, because there's some speakers that they have topics that are appropriate for a young audience. And then you have the private sector, which is companies, that like Hewlett Packard or, for example, T. Rowe Price, they're looking for someone to come in and maybe speak at their annual employee event or annual company event, or maybe a sales retreat or sales trip or sales training event. So figure out which market you're going to fit best in. Some people fit well in all three. Some people only fit well in one. So figure out what part of the industry you want to fit into. So I'll just kind of go through all three very quickly if I'm okay to do that. So associations and trade shows, if you want to speak at those, set up a Google alert on your phone that says call for speakers and call for proposals. That way, anytime anybody releases a call for speakers, it's going to alert you. You can check it out. And usually it's an actual electronic form you're going to fill out. And all the things that you're going to need that's required for that, you need to have your recent headshot. That's key. You need to have an updated bio, that's your entrepreneur's resume, and a topic, your topic summary, 3 to 5 takeaways. Have it in that format because they're going to ask for that. You won't be able to submit the form without it. And usually they want your social media links, and they are not looking to see how many followers you have. They are looking to vet you and see if you are a sane person. Like, are you one of those people that likes to party with the attendees or do something, like, for example, I've had meeting planners tell me if they see a lot of political rants on someone's page, like a Facebook page or Twitter, they are very cautious about moving forward with you because, as one meeting planner told me, something that happened at a private event is the person they brought on board decided to take that opportunity with the microphone to express his political opinions.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ouch. Ugh,
And people think, oh, I can't believe that would happen. But you believe me, it
it
happens. So
does.
that's what they're looking for.
It does.
So, make sure that your social media is cleaned up. Everybody's entitled to their opinion about religion and politics, but if you want to be a speaker and you want to get booked, I would suggest that you either just share that with friends or not have it publicly listed, or not be talking about it a lot, because that can raise a red flag for them. Okay. So you're going to need your social media links, and you're going to be inserting all of that into a form. To make things easy on yourself, have all of that in a Word document. So all you have to do is copy and paste. Every time a form comes up, copy and paste. That's all that is. And submitting your information. And then all you can do at that point is sit back and wait for them to contact you. Now, if you want to fit into like the college market, you need to figure out, or do you want to talk to staff or students? Is your topic more appropriate to the students and more, useful to them? So if you are a motivational speaker and you want to talk to them about, I just spoke with a speaker today who her topic is don't get lost in the shuffle of life. And it's a really good topic, and it's great. It's perfect for a graduating class. So at that point, you need to figure out, okay, if I want to talk to graduating students, I probably need to go to the dean of the College of Business, the dean of nursing. Or if it's a topic that's kind of like motivational, could be beneficial for all students, go to the director of campus activities. A good way to find these people, if you don't have access to a database, is to do a search on Google. And what you want to do is you want to type in the asterisk, okay? Type in the asterisk in the search bar, and then press enter, and then put Director of Campus Activities and hit enter. And that's going to populate a list of and I don't know why it works that way, but it works because it'll pull up kind of like all these links of all the different colleges and who the Director of Campus Activities is. So that's a great way to get in touch with the college market. If you want to speak privately, you're definitely going to need to formulate a list somehow. And one of the articles I wrote for She Owns It, I actually gave people a listing where they can actually get lead list at no cost if they have a library card. And I won't go into detail about that, but maybe we could share the article link in the show notes.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
That.
Pop it over to me and I'll
Okay.
include it.
Sure, absolutely. So that's what I would tell someone if they're just getting started. Make it easy on yourself. Start from there and figure out where, it'll funnel down to where it might just be that you're really good. You're better suited to talk to the private sector and to do private training. So that's, that once you figure that out, then you're like, okay, then I just need to cultivate my list and start calling. You will get further in this business by picking up the phone and calling than you will with an email.
Yeah, I think we've lost the art of real connection in these days of social media. And really like picking up the phone and calling. And of course you can always follow up with email, but I think there's something really powerful about hearing from somebody, not just getting an email.
And a tip for everyone listening, I will tell you, meeting planners are inundated with emails.
Mm-hmm.
Typically for our clients, we do send out an email, but it's kind of like an anchor thing for us. It's not something that we do send out an email, but we are calling. So we may email a meeting planner in May, but we may not get them on the phone until June or July. And we just kind of use that as an anchor in the conversation, saying, hey, we sent you an email a while back. I don't know if you remember receiving it. And usually when we're on the phone together, that's when they'll, oh, here it is. Because they're inundated with emails and they have so much on their plate. To kind of paint a picture for people think that a meeting planner is just selecting speakers, and that is less than 5% of what they have to do. The educational lineup is crucial. Who spews that information out is secondary. So they have to do the educational lineup. They're working on the venue, security, insurance. They're working on a safety plan. They are working on event help, like how many people are they going to need to have? They have to filter through all of that. Some of them also have to participate in selling out exhibitor space or finding exhibitors or doing some of the marketing for the event. And others are going to be affiliated with getting people signed up, getting their members ready to go. So their plate is very, very full. So, that's probably the most common complaint I hear from speakers, Melanie. It's like, oh, I reached out, I sent an email to the speaker and I haven't heard anything back. Well, it's only been a week. Funny story here. I actually got an email from a meeting planner that my team apparently sent out sometime last year. We still can't figure out when. But this person sent me an email and said, Kerry, we received your proposal. Let's set up a time to talk on Monday. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm thinking, I have no clue who this is. So luck would have it, this person, when we talked on the phone, it's a college up in Connecticut, and it's for their corporate college. And she said to me, she said, apparently she had taken the place of the person who originally did this. So a lot of these people, she had to filter through a lot of applications and just, calling people back. And she said, I apologize, it's taken so long, but that's what happened. So it's not that they're not interested. And that's why I go back to the follow-up is key. If you haven't heard from them in a week, that's nothing. 2 weeks go by, okay, fine. But if you're sending them a thank you note in the mail, if you are maybe taking, like, the following week, connect with them on LinkedIn. Send them a copy of your book in the mail. People love to get stuff in the mail. That's one thing that I have learned from this whole process, is that when you send things out in the mail, people love that because they don't get anything in the mail except bills. So it's just a nice personal touch, and it's a great way for you to stand out in their mind. So follow-up is just crucial.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing in the sending things in the mail, because I know I always love that. And if people are pitching me to be on my podcast, and they take the time to actually send me their book versus saying, well, buy my book and then put me on your show, which I won't do, by the way, which has been done many times. I'm like, really? You want to be on my show and you want me to buy your book? Okay. But anyway, I think it's a very classy move, and it's one of the ways to stand out from the crowd. Now, speaking of standing out from the crowd, I want to talk about some of the things that people need to have in place when they're going to seek out paid speaking engagements. And I like to be prepared for success, but we don't want you to get paralyzed with the preparedness, right? But really, there's some foundational things everybody should have to make the process go easy. And I just want to preface this, and I know you're going to talk about this, Kerry, but I want to preface this for everybody listening. If you want to get paid to speak and you're working on building a relationship, you have to have these things in place so it's easy and seamless and quick responses. Because if you make the event planner's life difficult, they're not going to ask you back, and it's really going to erode their confidence in you. So I can't wait to hear your top 5 things you would suggest speakers have in place.
Yeah, the top 5 things that I tell everyone to have in place is, first and foremost, you want to have, an updated headshot. And people think, oh, well, I already have a headshot. Okay, great. How old is your headshot? If it's any more than a year old, get new headshots. It's an investment in your business. It's an investment in you. And why is this important? And again, I like to refer back to stories that I've heard from meeting planners, so, people can understand the reasoning behind it. So, for example, one of the meeting planners that I work with personally, for me, as a speaker, she had said to me, when we first met, she was able to pick me out of a crowd because I matched my headshot. And she said, oh, yeah, I recognized you from your photo. If they're looking for you for some reason, let's say something comes up last minute and they've been calling you on your cell phone, and you don't pick up, and they're trying to find you because maybe they changed rooms on you or something at the last minute. So they're trying to, look for you, and they're on their way to the old room. And then maybe, and this actually happened to the meeting planner. She said, I walked in there, and this guy that was up there in the front, she looks at the form that they have, like the pamphlet that they print up for the event, and this guy looks nothing like the photo. And she actually went up to him and said, are you so-and-so? And he goes, oh yeah. And she's like, this picture must have been, like she said, this guy was much older, and this must have been like his senior portrait or something from high school, because he looked nothing like his photo. And, that's why it's important. You want people in the audience to be able to pick you out from a crowd, because if they have questions, or there's always opportunities to get business from the audience, so you want people to be able to recognize you. So have a recent headshot.
Can I say
um,
something about that before you move on?
sure.
This is also a rapport killer with your audience. I
Mhm.
mean, if you have a picture that's in all the marketing materials and you look nothing like it, there's this instant disconnect that I believe it creates with the audience, because they're like, well, why do they look so different? So anyway, just a little tiny thing to keep in mind about those current headshots. And I'm so glad you said that one. Okay, let's get to your
It
next
is.
one.
Yeah, and again, it's again, some of this stuff, because people are like, "Oh, I already have all this." Well, actually, you probably don't have it. My biggest pet peeve is about topics, but the next thing that you're gonna have, your a bio. Make sure your bio is updated. If you're writing a new column for, I don't know, everyday power blog or something like that, or you've been featured on a show, or you just won a little award for being, a local award, put that in your bio, because that's, your bio is your entrepreneurial resume, and you need to be consistently updating that. And a good thing, that what I do every year in January, I look at my bio and I'm like, okay, what do I need to take out? What do I need to add that's happened in the last 6 months? Because, if I'm writing a column now for She Owns, a dedicated column, not just contributing here and there. So I changed that in my bio. I also changed a couple of other things, because, we've got, just a few little different things that we're doing with our programs that I thought, would be good to let people know. I'm a host, I host 2 different shows. I'm editor of both of my magazines. So, I just kind of make sure that everything is up to date, it's up to par, it's fresh, it's something new. And, just always update your resume, because it is your resume. It's your entrepreneurial resume, because it's the same thing. If you were going to go out and look, because being a speaker, it is a paid job. And you have to look at this as a job search, because you might only be employed by that association for an hour, but they have bought your time for the hour. So think of it this way. If you, for some reason, were working in the corporate world and you had to go out and find a new job, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to update your resume. This is no different. So if you look at it along those lines, you'll see why you need to make changes. So always make sure that you have an updated bio. The next 3 things that you're going to need are your topic, summary, and 3 to 5 takeaways. This is what really is a big pet peeve of mine, because I have so many people who will tell me, "Oh, I already have my topic and summary." And then what they'll send to us is basically their topic and like 3 sentences of what it's about. Well, that's not enough. Now, you have to have it in a topic summary, 3 to 5 takeaway format, for 2 reasons. Number one, the meeting planners want it that way. They want to know what your topic is. So, for example, my body language topic is bodies don't lie. Okay. I have a little summary that talks about what Bodies Don't Lie is all about. What I'm going to teach, basic body language, what's in a handshake. Um, I do like a little descriptive paragraph. It's probably 5 sentences long, maybe, about what that topic is about. And then you always have 3 to 5 takeaways. The takeaways are basically, what is the audience going to learn if they attend my class for an hour? Attendees will be able to walk away and know how to, determine if someone is lying in a job interview. If, what the handshake means, when they shake someone's hand, they're going to be able to interpret body language that way. They're going to be able to understand what it means for voice inflection and tone and pitch and so forth, and how that plays into body language. So you need to have 3 to 5 takeaways. Now, why do you need to have that? Well, the reason's twofold. Number one, the meeting planner needs to see in detail, okay, this is what he's going to talk about, this is what people can learn. So it gives them a really good overview of what you're teaching. And the second reason you need to have it is because at the bigger shows, they never change your wording. Okay. They can't do that, because they're not the ones who are actually speaking on that topic. So whatever you submit in your call to speakers form, or your call to proposals form, or whatever you send into them, that is what's printed in their marketing material. So all they do is they do the same thing. They copy and paste that, and they put it into the printed version of whatever they're handing out to people or mailing to their members, saying, "Hey, come to our event. You can register for these classes." So they can't change any of that, because if they change it, they could change the meaning of what the class is about. So they never change it. So you have to have it in a really good, in that format, and it has to make sense. So that's crucial. Those are things that you have to have in place. And if you have 3 topics, all 3 of them need to be in that format: topic, summary, 3 to 5 takeaways.
Yeah, I have a big pet peeve on that too, and I'm so glad you brought it up. And really, people don't understand how to write topics a lot of times so that it is alluring and attractive. So really mastering that, even if you need to invest in someone to help you craft a really great reflection of your topic, it will make such a difference in getting picked and also getting attendance. So I'm glad you brought that up. I could ask you so many questions. You are obviously a wealth of knowledge and wisdom here. I want to just take a second to make sure people know how to connect with you, and then I've got a couple follow-up questions for you. What would be the best way for people to connect with you to learn more about how you support speakers?
Well, the best way, if they go to our website at bookspeakrepeat.com, and our general email is on there, and they can actually reach out directly to us to speak with me. And I do a free consultation, so people can. I think we were going to share that as well. So it's just bookspeakrepeat.com/submissions with an S on the end.
Yeah,
And
and I
there's
will
actually a
post
form.
that. I will post that in the show notes in case you're scrambling to write it down and you're like, wait, it's not working. I'm typing in. Just so take a breath. We'll make sure it's in the show notes. You can just head over there and look for the how to book a consult with Kerry. And Kerry, I know you are so wise and you have so many different things to tell people about, but what I think we should talk about for a minute is how people you brought this up at the beginning. The speaking industry is changing dramatically.
Mhm.
What's it like right now, and how can we maybe tap into what's changing and shifting to kind of be at the top of the wave instead of feeling like you're tumbling in the white water, right?
Well, I think the main thing that people should do, and I do this myself. Now, obviously, this is one of my businesses, so I constantly stay plugged in. So the best thing that people can do, not just for themselves, but also for their business to keep abreast of what's going on, it's a couple of things. Number one, first and foremost, make sure that you are actively marketing every month. And I don't care how busy you are. If you're getting too busy where you can't market for yourself, outsource to a firm like ours, or hire a virtual assistant. If you have a system already in place that's working for you, great. Let them take that over, but never make the mistake of not marketing, because everybody goes through dry spells. And the minute you stop marketing, your marketing does not, it builds momentum. So the minute you stop marketing, that momentum dies off very quickly. It dies off quicker than the way it builds up. So always be marketing. When you're marketing, you're going to be talking to meeting planners, and you're going to be finding out what it is that they're needing, what it is that what's going on, what are their current needs. And even if it's something that you can't help them with, it's not your area of expertise, everyone knows other speakers. Share that with, so if they're looking for someone to talk on team building and that's not your forte, but you know someone who teaches that, great. Tell them, say, hey, look, just be honest and say, look, that's not what I do, but however, I do know someone who's really good at that. Would you like me to do an email introduction? The meeting planner will certainly appreciate that. The other speaker you refer it to will also appreciate that, and it just kind of helps with that relationship building. But consistently build relationships with the meeting planners. That would be my second thing. Even the people that you've talked to from a year ago, that could still turn into business for you. I teach, well, I used to teach a lot on marketing and sales, and I teach a little bit now. It's mostly on follow-up. But one of my best stories is, when I've when we primarily started our business starting out, I was doing a lot of business to business marketing. One of the clients that I went after was a tech company up in Washington State. And when they first came to me, they did a consult. They were getting ready to start their business. It wasn't something that was ready to go. And they told me, they said, Kerry, we're about 6 months out from launching, and I'm like, okay, great. So I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to keep in touch with you. I'm going to send a connection on LinkedIn, and I'm going to follow up with you in about 3 months. That way, we can have a talk, just see if things are on target and on plan, ready to go. Is that okay? He said, absolutely. So I did. I followed up within 3 months. I had sent him a connection on LinkedIn, sent him a thank you note in the mail, just the little things, keeping my name out there. We had another conversation in 3 months, and he said, you know what, we're having, issues with funding. It's going to be another 6 months. Now, mind you, most people would say this isn't coming to fruition at that point, and they would have thrown it out the window. So I said, okay, fine, I understand. So I said, let me see what I can try to do for you. I did a little bit of research, found a few venues that were, or avenues that they could take to, get some funding, and which they appreciated. And in the meantime, I was, just dropping emails once a month saying, hey, I'm just checking in. How are things going? How's your wife? I know you guys are trying to have a baby. What, all the different things that I had found out about this person, just building up that relationship. So that 6 months passed, and we had a conversation again and said, okay, we've got our funding. It's looking like, we're going to be up and running in another 6 months. So long story short, by the time he rolled around and called me and said, guess what? We are ready to get started. I need you to get everything ready to go in a week. Can you do that? And that took 2 years. That was one of my best clients that I had for marketing, but it took me 2 years of follow-up to get him. But when I had him, he was a wonderful client, paid on time, everything. I mean, it was just, and he was phenomenal to work with. So never underestimate the power of follow-up.
Yeah, there's something really important about follow-up and consistency. And when you put those two together, you're really in the driver's seat of your clients and your bookings. And it's almost like if you're not doing that, you're just not going to get the results. So I'm really glad that you brought that point home. I want to take things to a personal, or more personal, not too personal, but a little more personal for a minute. I always like to, we got to know a little bit about how you got where you are. And I always like to get to know like a pivotal moment for you in your business as we wrap up. What is the boldest thing you've had to do to get your business where it's at today?
Ooh, that's a good question. The boldest thing that I've had to do, I have two answers for that. Can I give two, or do I
Yeah,
have to just give
sure.
one?
We're on a roll.
So,
Let's go for two.
okay. So I would say probably the biggest, boldest move that probably gave me night sweats was making major financial investments in myself. But I will tell you, it paid off in spades to do that. So, and that was fairly recent, in the past 12 months or so. And I invested in working with a coach. And, she's a coach and a mentor. And, it really, with, there's a term that people will say that the universe loves speed. And if you are investing in yourself, you are the best investment that you can put your money into. So I highly recommend that. And I'll be honest, when I did it, I was like, I made a commitment to it. And I thought, how the heck am I going to come up with this money? But I found a way to make it happen. And I'm glad that I did. And I continue to invest in myself in regards to, coaching and doing other things for myself. So that was probably a very pivotal moment. And then I would go back to the first one would be just taking the step out to do my own business. And I share this story for anybody, whether they're a speaker, entrepreneur, I don't care what you are. If you want to go out on your own and you want to have your own business, you have to take a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith in yourself, not in other people, not in how the economy is doing. It's in you, because your future is in your hands. You're responsible for what happens in your life and in your business. Now, with me, I was a corporate recruiter. Okay, that was the last corporate job that I had. I had decided a year prior to starting my business, hey, I'm ready to take the leap. I grew up in an entrepreneurial home. My father was an electrician, and I wanted the flexibility, the freedom that he had. He was the one who took me to school in the morning, and he picked me up, or my brother was working for him at the time. He would pick me up from school. So I never had like a babysitter or anything like that. I've always been around family, to take care of me. And, my father, like my summer vacations, I was a tomboy when I was younger. So I would go, my father had a boat that he had restored because he's into boats. And we would go down to the boatyard just off of the Chesapeake River, this because I grew up in Maryland. And I would spend the summers down there with him, helping him refurbish his boat. We would we both have a sweet tooth, so we would sit there and eat candy and different stuff and just have a great time. That was my summer. And most people don't have that luxury because they have an 8 to 5 job. Now, granted, my father worked very hard, but he had a big company, so he could take time off to spend with me. And that is something that I had always craved. I've had dozens of jobs over the course of my life, and they were all great jobs. And most people were like, I can't believe you left that job. And I'm like, I just needed something more. I needed to be an entrepreneur. Now, I saved for a year to start my business. I saved money for a year. The day came, I put my 2-week notice in. I worked that out. That Friday, I came home and I was like, I'm free. I'm free. I'm like all excited. I got through the weekend. And then that Monday morning, I woke up and, Orlando, Florida, it rains all the time. So it was overcast that morning. I'll never forget this. And it was very like kind of foggy out. And I went to my dining room window. I looked outside and I thought, what the heck did I just do? But I will tell you, it's been 15 years. I wouldn't trade my worst day as an entrepreneur for my best day in corporate. And it's not for everybody, but it's just taking that leap of faith and taking the first step and saying, you know what, I'm doing this, it's done, and making it happen. It's just that was probably the first pivotal moment in my business and in my life.
That's very quotable. I wouldn't trade my worst day as an entrepreneur for my best day in corporate. And I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your personal breakthroughs. I think sometimes people need to hear the real moments of our own trajectory to give them permission to do the thing that they're terrified to do. And I like to call it like really owning that bold move. And you certainly shared some very inspiring ones. So thank you. And for you listening, if you are resonating with that, remember, we always have our Own Your Bold Challenge once a year. You can join us in the Own Your Bold Challenge and really get the confidence and courage to take a bold leap that maybe you've been holding back from. So Kerry, thanks so much for being with us today. I want to remind you, she's generously offered to do a consult with you and help you create some trajectory around your speaking. You can head over to bookspeakrepeat.com/submissions to take Kerry up on that. And you want to definitely check her out on social media. We'll be posting all her social media links in the show notes. And Kerry, I am so excited for everything that you're becoming and everything that you're going to make a ripple and amplify with as you coach and mentor all these speakers and help them get these amazing gigs out there in the world. So thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for having me on the show. And like I said, just if they click on the link, the consultation will be with me. And if we're not a good fit for you, I always try to offer, tips and suggestions so people can do things on their own. If we can't work together, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to help you. But just be forewarned, I love to talk.
Warning taken. All right, everybody. We'll see you again next week for another power-packed episode of Amplify Your Success. This is Melanie Benson, your host. Thanks so much for listening in today. If you want to catch up on any of the show notes and circle back on any of the resources we shared in today's show, head on over to the show page at amplifyyoursuccesspodcast.com. And remember, you amplify your results faster when you're in a community of other people who are moving and shaking. Join us at amplifyyoursuccesscommunity.com. One last thing. When you've gained insight from today's episode, help us share that and inspire other people by heading over to iTunes, subscribing, and give it a review. iTunes absolutely loves seeing these reviews pop up, and it actually helps boost my show's visibility. So I would be super grateful for your reviews. And as always, I love seeing your shares of these episodes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Come find me over there. Tag me in your shares. I'll give you some social media love right back. So see you next week for another inspiring episode of Amplify Your Success Podcast.